The 2010 era Camaro has always been a weird one for me. Unveiled as a concept car in the world of Transformers, I think I was just honestly surprised that they actually built the car almost identical to the concept, which could also make things feel a little rushed sometimes. And just like its rival the Mustang, there was a V6 version and a V8 version. But what if the V6 just isn't good enough? Well, there is another option. The 4.8 liter iron block V8 that you can find in a bunch of Chevy vehicles, and throw a massive turbo on it. So my question is the 2010 era Camaro still a viable platform to go really, really fast? And also, what are the strengths and weaknesses of this platform? Let's go for a drive and find out. Huge thanks to DraftKings for sponsoring today's video. Hey football fans, there's only a few short weeks left in the season, and we've got some exciting new wildcard games for you to look forward to now. So get in on the action with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. And stay in on the action with your $200 in bonus bets with DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. And if sports betting is not available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ThatDude and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ThatDude only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Hello! And welcome to a 2010 Chevy Camaro, also, you know, the Bumblebee Camaro from Transformers. And this car has a crazy story. This actually started its life as a V6 Camaro, also known as the RS, basically the competitor to the V6 Mustang. And the owner of this car was like, okay, you know what, it's just not good enough. We got to do something about this. The SS version of the Camaro had a 6.2 liter V8 LS3, but this wasn't swapped to that. Typically when people upgrade a V6 version of a car, they go straight to whatever the upper trim level is. Well, they actually did something completely opposite. So they got a 4.8 liter V8, something you'd find in like a Silverado or something like that, fully built it, threw a massive turbo on it, and decided to make 800 wheel horsepower on 15 pounds of boost. Now, with that, the 4.8 liter is an iron block. So the iron block is extraordinarily strong, so that's why a lot of people use them for boost. But this one in particular allegedly could make over 1,000 horsepower turned all the way up, but we haven't seen it on the dyno yet because the last time this thing went on a dyno, it maxed out the speed on the dyno, so it didn't make the number because it couldn't get there. It also has a massive fender exit exhaust that really gives you a cool sensation when you're driving down the road because you just hear it on your side. You're just cruising down the road, none the wiser, and then you get into boost and it turns into an absolute maniac. Rundown on the Camaro, let's be honest, I do not like the interior of this generation Camaro. I think it feels cheap. I think the steering wheel is what you call a Lego hand. You have to have your hand kind of like this because it's massive. All the materials feel cheap. Everything is hard plastic. Typical 2010 GM. The radio also has the GM green radio. It's also got a Tremec TR6060 manual transmission. If you don't know what that is, that's what you would find in like the 1314 GT500, stuff like that. But it has 345 rear end gearing, which means it's pretty long gearing. It goes on a very long time, which is good for boost because you can just kind of focus on driving and not shifting. Car is on coilovers, but it still has the V6 brakes, so I might need to worry about that every time I get on this car. I'm gonna need a lot more room to stop. because it was never meant for this. I do kind of wish that they kept the RS badge on the car. It has the SS badge on it because naturally, you know, it's a V8 now, but I would have loved if they kept like all the V6 isms and made it a massive sleeper, except, you know, the fender exit gives it away, obviously. Some of the LS motors that you get, say, out of a truck engine, especially when they're naturally aspirated, can be really raspy. This thing sounds really, really good. Turbos fix a lot of that. Turbos fix a lot of sounds. It's also got a McLeod twin disc clutch, which normally you'd think would be, pretty difficult to go out of first gear. It's really easy to drive. It feels like a stock Camaro. I am more on a street tire right now with all this horsepower, so it is definitely sketchier than it would be on, say, a slick and skinny setup or something like that. This, you do have to be ready. I know every single car reviewer and car journalist ever said this about the Camaro, but it really is true. You cannot see anything. The visibility is super crappy. The windows are really small. And he also has a banner on the windshield, so it's even harder to kind of see out of. But it's something you get used to over time. This is actually the first time I've driven a boosted 4.8 liter motor from GM. So I'm actually really excited to see how the power comes on, because I've always heard that this is a really solid swap, especially in the older cars like WS6, stuff like that, but just never experienced it. Because you always expect the 5.3s, like the junkyard motor, or the 5.7, the 6 liter, and the 6.2, right? The 4.8 is kind of over here in the corner, and it has some secret sauce that a lot of people know about. Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. All right, they said first was useless, but whatever. Let's see if it is. Yep, it's useless. Man, this thing sounds good, dude. Woo! It does the thing. That's right, there goes my camera. Okay, the way the turbo comes on in this thing is super violent up top. Almost all the power is thrown all the way at the top. So you gotta wait for a second, and there is some lag. But once it does ramp in, you are probably going to spin tires. And once it starts spinning, you have to make an executive decision to stay in it or not. And that could be a good or a bad thing. This thing sounds awesome, dude. It is pretty wild, though. It's pretty wild. And with the really long gearing, you just have to be mentally prepared that you need to keep going. You need to commit to the bit. Woo! Oh, it's starting to move. It gripped up front and started to yaw me back and forth a little bit. It found some divots in the road and it was like, yep, you're going this way. Okay. Woo! You'll notice that when I spun in second gear, I let off the gas, I let the car grip back up because it started spinning like crazy. Let it grip back up, get into third gear, ramp back into it. Because had I just basically money shifted it into third, I just would have been spinning again to keep it in boost, right? But yeah, this car, you need to take your time with your shifts and with this tire setup on it, and make sure you're smart about it, because this thing gets real wild real fast. Yeah, once you're top of third with this gearing, you are to the moon. Going into fourth gear is almost impossible. the moon. There's so much. It is so hard to get to fourth. But yeah, second and third are definitely the gears in this thing, 100%. So the 4.8 liter is interesting since it does have a little bit less displacement. It does feel like it takes a little bit longer to spool a turbo this big. But once you're in power, you're in power. I absolutely believe the claim that this thing is 800 wheel horsepower on like 15 pounds. I 100% believe it. Once it gets going, it really starts moving. On a stickier tire, I think this thing would absolutely really shine. Growing more hairs on my chest right now because of Chevy power, you know what I'm saying? So on that note, what did you guys think about the V6 converted to 4.8 liter V8 big turbo? Put it down in the comment section below. And on that note, I typically upload on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.